Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We are going to talk about a very important topic that is dear and near to my heart. We are exploring leading while Black and female, navigating power, bias, and burnout. I'm Dr. Mishkat Al Mumin. I'm the brand ambassador with Quarantine Racism. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Mishkat Almumin. You can also follow my YouTube channel, The Communication of Success, to receive tips and strategies to address favoritism and biases at work. You can also connect to my Substack for free at Dr. Mishkat. Without further ado, let's jump in. I am not black, as you can see from the color of my skin, but I am different. I know what it means to be othered, silenced, and overlooked. I chose solidarity with the Black community. I use my platform to center justice, not just to tell my story. We don't have to be the same to fight for each other. That's my message, that's my motto, and that's what I believe in. I want to give you my legacy when I experienced injustice. And let's start with my family. In 1958, the Iraqi government confiscated my grandfather's land. He owned lands the size of Wales. He worked so hard to own these agricultural lands. They were taken from us without a penny, no compensation, nothing. In 1978, my family was barred from raising the rent or evicting tenants when they default on the rent. And even when life expenses were rising, we were not allowed to raise the rent. The properties were, damaged without our ability to take care of them. In 1991, our family graveyard was demolished. A street was paved over my grandfather's grave. He was a prominent tribal leader. Everyone respected him because of his hard work, fairness, and dedication to those who worked with him. In 2004, after surviving a physical attack, I was personally attacked, and four people who were with me died that day. The Iraqi government proceeded to confiscate my pension despite years of contribution. So, this is my legacy, a legacy of injustice. And that's why I relate to the struggle of the Black community. I will never run. This statement is a reflection of who I am. After I survived the physical attack, my government didn't recognize my service or contribution. I continued to serve as the Minister of the Environment, the first woman who served in that position. Until my term ended, I worked under daily threat. I ask each and every one of you, have you ever been transported to work in a trunk of a car? I have, but I never ran. Colleagues were assassinated weekly. The US embassy's officer took note not only for my position, but my presence. Captain Hope, a US Air Force officer stationed in Baghdad, later recalled and emailed me. You ran back into the fire to aid your security guard. I asked if the story was true, and you said, of course, I'm talking. Of course, it's true. I will never run. That's my story again, and part of my legacy. Let's frame the conversation together. I'm a Middle Eastern woman. I don't pass as a white person. As I said, I often felt othered, not fully included, but not openly excluded. This talk and this conversation is for anyone who's leading from margins. I have been called to leadership while being questioned for simply showing up. I showed up prepared for all of my meetings when I started my career here in the US. I read literature, I follow up on best practices, and I take my meetings and events seriously. So let's talk about how to survive and lead without losing ourselves. The myth of balance. Find your balance. They say as if balance can be rearranged, like it's a shelf. You take something and then you put something else, or you leave a space empty. For some, balance is a performance under pressure. For leaders from the margin, balance isn't equilibrium, it's endurance. We juggle visibility with expectations, with feeling invisible. Real leadership starts when we stop pretending balance is a goal. It's not about balance, it's about being seen, being recognized, and your legacy being respected. And I'll give examples. Leading while unseen. Lead teams while grieving. I led teams that were grieving the loss of a colleague. I lifted them up. I gave them 3 days to mourn the same colleague that I was mourning. I did the job for 4 or 5 people while they were grieving. That's my leadership philosophy. During this time, I answered the phone, I filled time cards, I addressed stakeholders, I worked in high level meetings and low level meetings. I did the job of a team that was grieving while exhausted. No help, no support, deadlines are coming, and I have to cater to more than 80 participants. I did everything for these events, starting from organizing the roster all the way to greeting them at the door, at the same time, conducting academic observations, writing research, and ensuring classes are running as well as the academic goals and objectives of these courses were achieved. In return, I received suspicion, not support. Why couldn't you do more? The post was moved at the last minute to another requirement, and another requirement, and another requirement. All of this without zero support. Truth, we are allowed to be resilient, but not human. During these positions, these leaders' positions, I worked 18 hours. I barely slept to deliver the results that will reflect my academic standards. Leadership isn't about holding it all together. Sometimes it's admitting that the cost is too high. After all, like all of you, I have a family, I'm one human being, and I don't want to compromise my health and my relationships. Let's talk about race and gender, the double burden. Black colleagues trusted me with their truth. I practiced equity, treating peoples in way that reflect their worth, starting from reflecting and respecting their titles, in addressing them, in communicating with them, and in treating them. That included again calling them by their title and finding ways to recognize their service. In fact, I continue to recruit among Black communities to supplement my faculty pool and enlarge it and equip it with talents that are worthy of recognition because of merit, not skin color. I'm gonna share with you something that I personally experienced, and this took place here in the US in an academic setting. I was called by my first name in meetings, in greetings, everywhere. My colleague who sits next to me, and in fact, I outrank him both by role and by um, education, was called Dr. So and so. When I asked, I received an answer that, oh, we have two colleagues with the same name. So we decided to recognize the one with the PhD to reflect, the difference and not confuse everybody. But I have a PhD too. I pushed back. I signed each and every email with doctor in front of it. I introduced myself as a doctor and insisted on it. Guess what? The next Black person who was appointed was immediately deprived of their title. It's not about titles, it's not about positions, it's about respect. Either you recognize everyone by their first name or you recognize titles. In academia, titles matter. When you take a title, you chip away from that person's achievement. And solidarity. I was once told jokingly, and I cherish this joke because it reflects my standard, that I have a Black heart, meaning I associate and I have close ties with Black colleagues and communities. This joke really means a lot to me because it was told to me as a way of recognizing that my contribution and ties with the Black communities matter. They see me as member of this community. They don't look at my skin color. We recognize each other through our struggle with differences. Just to be open here, I don't have a dark side, but a reflection of my genuine alliance with the Black community. um, I was honored to receive this recognition that I have a Black heart. I created spaces where Black colleagues felt seen, heard, valued, and appreciated every step of the way. And I was able to stand with them during difficult times when they were doubted. Disrupt disrupt comfort. It's not about keeping the status quo. It's not about accepting that someone take away your accomplishment just because they came up with some sort of excuse to do so. Of course there is an excuse. Of course there is some sort of a reason. But it's up to us to stand up for ourselves. Let's see what favoritism looks like. Who always gets second chances? Always. Who is granted authority without having to prove it? Just because, they said something or they showed up at meetings, that's it. They have contributed tremendously to the organization. Who's never held accountable, while others are expected to quickly and quietly pick up the slack. When they fail to deliver, the entire team has to rally to complete their work on top of already full plates. Autism hides an informal network, quiet recognition, and unspoken assumptions. Because you are different, you are expected to do the job of five people without a question. Strategies to lead from the margin. I'm here with you today not to complain and not to vent. I'm here with you today, first of all, to relate to your struggle. Second of all, and the most important part, to give you strategies to lead successfully from the margins. Pause with purpose and don't apologize for rest. If you need to take a couple of days off, do it. If you need to say no to unrealistic deadlines, also do it. If you need to take a minute or a longer lunch just to clear your head, go ahead and do it. And my recommendation for you is to do it and document it. Send an email, write a note, make sure you have the paper trail for your work, but don't apologize for resting. Normalize equitable recognition for all, not just the favored few. Recognize people, recognize members of your team. I used to call on my teams to be recognized in front of 50 people just to acknowledge that they contributed. And I take time, at least 5 minutes before the class, to recognize their contribution and start the day with a positive message. Name the invisible labor, track it, and speak on it. I used to send emails and documentation telling, leadership that, paying me to do the job of administrators cost the organization more than it thinks, because my hourly rate is higher and it would have saved money had they hired an administrator. Insist on recognition. Use your title and insist that people address you using your title. Advocate for yourself. It's not ego, it's integrity. Supporting Black students with strategies for teachers and school leaders. I'm going to start with teachers and how should they or how to demonstrate respect for Black students. First of all, use their names and, don't casually dismiss the reference. If they have a title and they'd like to be called by that title, do it. And that's my experience when I worked in military schools. I called my Black students with their names properly pronounced and their titles. I showed them respect. Bias in real time. Don't wait. Address microaggressions. Call it for what it is. Hold space, not assumptions. As an educator, ask questions before jumping to conclusions. Represent diverse excellence, not only to include Black voices in curriculum, leadership, and decision making, but also in daily activities. The activities need to be relatable to them. They can find themselves in these activities. Again, don't assume, ask, and offer support. We are here for each other as a community of learners. I used to tell my student that I learn from them the same way they learn from me. And I find ways to reference what I've learned from them. Be it too little, be it too much, it doesn't matter. I need to find ways to tell my learner that I see them as partners, not someone who is sitting in my class waiting to be filled with knowledge. I walk the talk, so to speak. If you'd like to connect further with me, here is my LinkedIn newsletter. It's called The Communication of Success. As you can see, I have 3,185 subscribers. I'm hoping to grow. I publish articles every Sunday exploring issues of leadership and equity. I also talk about it in my YouTube channel. I have several videos on how to identify favoritism, what type of favoritism, and how to deal with it and when. And the picture here overlooked how to win. It's one of my thumbnails. You can find me on YouTube at The Communication of Success, and I hope you subscribe again for free, at least to help me spread the word and provide some guidance to those who needs it. You can also subscribe again to my LinkedIn at Mishkat Al Mumin and receive the opportunity to review my articles on Sunday. If you'd like to explore this topic further and analyze it more, you can connect with me on Substack. I publish every day or every other day to encourage reflections and takeaways, and I provide strategies for success as well. You have an opportunity to transform your teaching practice. Transform your class dynamic for just 297. It's a course that is provided by Quarantine Racism for educators and by educators. We have another version of the course dedicated to principals, maybe assistant principals, or those who would like to help their team understand class dynamic and build better racial relationship with their students. My advice to you, don't wait. Go ahead and take the course, buy it to build a healthy classroom. Don't wait until the problem appears and then you have to deal with it. If money is an issue, you can reach out to me. The Communication of Success writes grants successfully. Last year, I have secured 47,000 for educational programs to include equity, STEM education, and increase female participation and underrepresented communities in STEM education. Here is the URL if you'd like to get more details about the course. Quarantine racism slash exclamation point ref equals Mishkat. Let's see what we can do for students because I have strategies for students as well. Echo and amplify. When a Black student shares something meaningful, repeat it, support it, and give it credit. Double standards. You are a student, I completely understand, but still, you can be vocal when rules are unevenly applied. I encourage you to document. I encourage you to use a respectful tone and communicate the problem successfully and provide recommendation for future reference. Don't just present the problem, present the solution. Practice visible solidarity. Use phrases like, I agree with so and so, or that was important when so and so said this. This way, you show that you are part of a community of learners, not just one voice. Build safe spaces. Support affinity groups, mentorship programs, peer led initiatives. Form a leadership club. You can call it the Black Leadership Club. Meet every now and then, meet online, communicate constantly and online. Go ahead and talk to your representative, your school district representative, your Congress representative. Make your voice heard. Challenge silence. You know, the worst thing about favoritism and double standards is that we don't talk about it, we don't call it for what it is. So we allow it to grow. So when you see something, say something, speak up, always be respectful, always be ready to present support or evidence to your argument. That's why I encourage people to document. That's why I encourage them to know their rights. So as when they speak up from authority, from knowledge, not from emotion. Let's reframe what strength means. Again, strength has nothing to do with doing the work of 5 people. Strength is protecting your peace and dignity. That's the most important part about it. Just because you carried it all once, it doesn't mean you should do that all the time. Some reflection questions for you. What has graceful unraveling looked like for you? Have you had to insist on being seen? What would leadership look like if rest and honesty were built in? My closing message, again, I'm not black, but I am different. I stand with those who lead while unseen. Your power is not how much you endure, it is in how much of yourself you protect. Let's stay connected. And again, I'm Dr. Mishkat Al Mumin. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm brand ambassador with Quarantine Racism. Here is my LinkedIn tag. You can connect with me on YouTube at The Communication of Success. My Substack is Dr. Mishkat. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll be happy to address any question you might have.